Hi, hello everyone. This is Ola Marchwian from Team NGL, and I am so happy to welcome you on the English version of the webinar from the series Power Up Your Teaching Skills with NGL. And today's topic is making your classes spark. So I'll try to give you 10 ideas for your classes that you can use, where you could use our Spark platform. So this webinar is going to be slightly different. And since it's a recording, I will not be answering your questions. However, if you have any, do not hesitate to leave them under the video, okay? I'll try to look into those, and if there are any, I'll try to answer them. So today's webinar is not really about the technical side of using Spark. For this, I'll give you another tools that you can use, but more about incorporating Spark to your classes so that you could use all the feature that it contains and use it as a great activity base. Okay, so this is my main goal for today, to show you that this is not just a storage space for audio and video and different worksheets. This is actually a platform that allows you to do multiple things, that allows you to create completely new tasks and exercises using Spark. Okay, so let's get on with it. I have this commitment to not exceed 1 hour. Hopefully I'll manage. When I was doing the live, it took me an hour and 6 minutes. So hopefully it will take me much less today when I'm recording this for you in the English version. However, please bear in mind that I am very stressed to do it in English for you, especially that it's being recorded. So if I do any terrible English mistakes, please do not think bad of me. Okay, let's begin then. This whole series of webinars is entitled Power Up Your Teaching Skills with NGL, and this time it's more about making your classes spark. Last time when we saw each other, it was about describing different tasks and giving the right instructions, and today it's going to be about using Spark and making the most of it. And why I've decided to create this webinar, because this is not very common topic. To be honest, I was trying to find something to inspire me and I wasn't able to. But I just cannot stand and look at the situation where you all use it just a repository for the content. This is so much more, and I would like you to feel encouraged to use it in different ways, because Spark will allow you to gamify your classes, to use textbooks in a different way, to start different things and to show different features to your students so that you can use interesting activities, not only on the carpet using textbooks, but also using modern media. And hopefully this will give you the nice base for a completely new set of inspirations. That's the whole goal for today. Because as I said, not only a wardrobe for different features. Okay, this is so much more. While talking about different ideas, I'm going to talk about using Spark on different devices. And I know that you work in different schools, you have different possibilities. Some of you are working in a huge schools that have all the media that are necessary. And some of you are solopreneurs, some of you are solo teachers, and you have only your phone or only your computer. You don't necessarily have an interactive whiteboard. It's okay. I'll try to show you different ideas to make sure that all of you will be able to use the Spark ideas in your classroom. These icons are going to be seen throughout all the ideas. So if you see the one with interactive whiteboard or computer, that means that you are the ones who are running something and your students need to look at it. But there might be some situations in which I will encourage you to use Spark that's on your students' accounts, so on their tablets or phones, or and use it to have pair works, or maybe to use them individually. Okay, so whenever you see those icons here on this black stripe on the bottom of my slide, this is the indicator of how you can use it, meaning what device do I need to conduct this exercise. In the majority of cases, there'll be multiple ways to play the game. However, in some, it will require only one of those, or maybe two of these. And now, before we start, I know that for some of you, Spark is a challenge. I quite often hear, yeah, okay, we do have Spark, but we do not really use it. We don't use it the way that we would like to. Maybe it takes a lot of time to prepare it. None. That's a disclaimer. Technology is not my strong side. Yeah, not my strong suit. I don't know how to use Spark. So if you feel like the technological part of Spark might be the challenge for you, like this is the reason why you do not use Spark yet, I will recommend a couple of nice English-speaking webinars that might give you a hand in it, okay? Because we have all of it figured out. You don't have to do it on your own if you don't know how to. For Polish-speaking teachers, we have Spark Academy. However, we were not able to translate it yet. Maybe we'll do it in the future. But if you're a native speaker or if you don't speak Polish, you can easily use English-speaking webinars that were created by National Geographic Learning. I will leave you the link in the description of this video, okay? So don't let it drag you down, okay? The thing that you cannot really use Spark from the technological point of view, just give it a go, open up for new ideas on how to use Spark, and if you like it, maybe then I'll convince you to look into different features in greater depth. Okay, so the first idea, and please be gentle with me because I have to switch between different windows and multiple tabs. Okay, so this is a challenge for me. But the first idea for today, and I've got 10 of those for you, is a warm-up with the unit opener. And if you had a chance to maybe participate in one of my seminars or in one of my teacher trainings, you know that there are two things they actually love. One of them are unit openers with those big pictures, and the other one is reading. So both of these will be tackled today, but let's start with the warm-up. So in your Spark account, there's this classroom presentation tool that I'm going to use today throughout the classes. And it has this great feature that's brand new, where you can actually add text fields. It is located right here. It's text tool, text box, however you call it, and you can use it to write something on the picture. So on the picture or anywhere else on the CPT. So what you can do, and what I've done in this activity, I've just wrote a couple of questions. Okay, over here, you see, I've got the boxes. And I wrote a couple of questions, and what my students are supposed to do is simply answer them. And you can either edit it here. So what is the man wearing? He is wearing blah, blah, blah. So you can actually give the answer, or you can just rely on the speaking activity and just ask your students, for example, to simply cross out the question that they answer. Like, oh, I didn't want to do it. I just wanted to cross out. I'll just cross out the one that's been done. Why not? It can be the question that you put on the photograph, but you can also add sentences to finish, like I've done here. Like, if I saw such a machine, and the task for my student is to finish it, I would do something. If you have younger children or students in lower levels, you can ask them to label as many things as they can on the in a picture. So, for example, they can write chair, like this is chair. Maybe not the best color here. We always red. So they can label different things, and in this way you can encourage them to stand up, to go to your interactive whiteboard or to your screen, use different things, move them around, cross them out, and make sure that they can speak and they can use the photograph in a different way. Okay, you can do so much more than just looking at the questions that are provided within the book. The benefit of it is that you don't really have to prepare anything else. You don't have to write questions on the paper. You don't have to make a photocopy. You just open your Spark account and you can have it right there. And there's another great feature that you can think about, because if I leave this page and go back to the main menu. Oh, I didn't want to do that. That's too far. No, come back, come back. Okay, one more time. It kind of saves all my answers. So if I get back here now, you see it's still here. So I can prepare it once and have it done for all my classes, which is pretty cool. So that was the first idea, to use the text boxes to create nice warm-up, an interesting unit opener. Of course, your students can match different things. They can underline things. They can draw circles or whatever you want. But please remember that this is a very nice opportunity. However, you need either your laptop or your interactive whiteboard or screen to do this task. Okay, let's move on. Idea number 2. Can you guess what it is? I just love guessing games, and a lot of my younger students love them too, because showing just part of the picture might be a great adventure, and it really boosts imagination, asks students to think creatively, to reach to the depths of their brains to find out what that might be. So what you can do is to, okay, wait, give me a sec. Oh, here I am. Is to boost their imagination by zooming in. No, I'm sure, sorry, I should be here. By zooming in the picture. Okay, I'm going to use this one. You see what it is, but imagine you didn't. Look what I can do. Use maximum zoom and then show my students just this piece and ask them, okay, what do you guys think it is? And ask them to give me some ideas. Maybe it's a rock, maybe it's some kind of mud, maybe it's bark from the tree, I don't know. Or maybe it's a wall in the prison, I have no idea. So we can generate different ideas about what that might be. And once they're ready, or maybe once they guessed, you can gently zoom out to show them that in this case, it's an ancient Native American art in California, US. And please remember that if you want to learn something more about this picture, you can always check it in teacher's book. Yeah, it's all available for you. A nice idea might also be to use a drawing tool. I think this CPT does not like me today. Doesn't matter. Yeah, let me show you. This is a nice picture of a monkey. So what I'm going to do is to zoom it, for example, like this, even more maybe, or maybe like that. And now I can use coloring tool to, for example, just create, see, and then wipe all of it down, so that my students would have to guess what I've made, or what that is, based by only, okay, I'm not very good at this under pressure, now I feel pressured. Okay, sorry, I think you know what I mean. Like, I'm trying to color all this up so it would be invisible, so that my students would have to guess what the picture is based on solely this small part. Okay, I don't have a mouse on my computer. I'm using touchpad. That's why it's taking so long. But I'm pretty sure you can do it much better. Yeah, for example, like this. Okay, let's imagine it's done so much better. And they can guess what animal that is. Okay, I'm pretty sure not all of them will guess that it's a monkey. So you can use, just small details of the pictures to drag your students' attention to it and discuss different features. It's a great activity. My students love it. So I'm pretty sure that yours will enjoy it as well. Okay, getting back here to my slides. Idea number 3. Idea number 3 is connected with introducing new material. Because sometimes, and probably you will say that I'm right, you may find that about 2/3 or 1/3 of the vocabulary that the book is introducing is already known to your students. So in these cases, it might not be the best idea to try to introduce the vocabulary in a very, lecture type way. This is it, and this is it. Just using flashcards might not always do the trick, and sometimes a lot of the vocabulary is already known to your students. So I really love gamification, and I really love this inverted classroom idea, flipped classroom idea. So this is the place where you can actually use it. You can find a lot of additional games in the OLP, so Online Learning Practice Zone, on your Spark account. And some of them might be really useful in terms of introducing new material. So let me show you one of these on here. For example, you can use these talking flashcards if you don't want to be, come on, oh, there it is. If you don't want to show flashcards always in the same way, and you like flashcards, you like using them, you can use those talking flashcards you can find in the OLP. So look, I have a picture. I can ask my students, okay, guys, so what do you think that is? They can generate some ideas, and then I can show them that it's a farm, and it's even going to tell me it's a farm. My students can repeat after the speaker. Then I have field and so on, the forest. Okay, so you have those talking flashcards. They're available to you, but also to your students if they have their Spark accounts too. You can also be very tempted, and this is something I love doing, I really do. You can also be tempted to use games, actual games, to see how much your students already know. Because quite often, if we're talking about, I don't know, food or clothes, students know a lot of vocabulary. So sometimes it's worth checking what they know first, and then, working on the vocabulary that they don't know. So easy games are perfect for this purpose. Like this one, it's quite simple. I just have to match the labels to the pictures. And there are 2 labels and 2 pictures, so come on, this is not very challenging, especially that farm is not very difficult word either. So I ask my students to do it either together on a big screen, or they can do it individually in the phones and tell me what the result was and what were the words that they couldn't grasp. See, this is a very, very simple task that can be kind of indicator of what your students know, and this is the way on how you can introduce the missing vocabulary. So the words that they do not yet know. Do not hesitate to use those tasks, because there are so many of those, and you can use them in multiple ways. Some of those games are great for working together. Others are perfect for being assigned as assignments. So check them out. Make sure you know how to use them. You can find them in every course in this setting thing. You have to click launch course, and then you have lots of activities for every unit of your book. So make sure you take advantage of those as well, because they might be a nice way to introduce something brand new, some new ideas, some new way of talking about different things. Idea number 4 is one of my favorite, easy vocabulary games. So this is something that you all do, and I've seen lots of you printing millions of copies of bingo games, memory games, what else? Some kind of cards, I don't know, board games. But the truth is, you can use majority of those on your online device, on your Spark account. So let me show you one more time how it might be done. Okay, I'm trying to be very cautious because I know that no one is watching me live. So no one would tell me if I forget to share my screen. That's why it might feel like it's taking a long time. Please be forgiving. Okay, I'm here. Yeah. So look, in this case, I have my vocabulary placed in a grid of 9. So this is perfect because I can just use it to play nuts and crosses, X's and O's, however you call it, tic-tac-toe. And students can do it together on a huge screen, so on an interactive whiteboard. They just approach the board the pair is playing. They might create sentences or simply say what that is. If you want to, you can also cover the labels like this. Oh, let's stick the figure on. Yeah, so they do not have this tip on what it's called. Okay, there it is. If you want to, and they can just play. Okay, you don't have to print anything. You don't have to create another game. You have it all here. And once you're done, you can simply use the rubber to eliminate these, and another pair is ready to go. Right? It really takes a second. You can also play the what's missing game, the memory game. Okay, you can play some kind of conversational task. You can play I Spy with my little eye, and then once we spy the activity, my students can simply cross it out. Yeah, and again, in pairs on their own devices if they have their Spark account and interactive ebook inside, or on the big screen together with you. Choose your poison. But I can guarantee you that it makes your life so much easier. It's fun, it's interactive, it's using books, and you're using so much less paper, which is very cost efficient, I can tell you. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you how to play What's Missing game, because this is the game that students usually really enjoy. You can, for example, use this to cover one of the pictures, so quickly, and then you ask, okay, so these are my words. Yeah, what's missing? It took me 3 seconds, so your students can have their eyes closed at the time. Great. So remember, easy vocabulary games are really a way to go with Spark. And all your students need is using colorful markers. They can choose their colors. And then you have the reusable board that you can use over and over again with your students. Moving on to the idea number 5. I'm on a great time frame. I don't want to spoil it. When time is of the essence, you may consider using a stopwatch function. This is a function I really enjoy using because it allows me to change a very simple activity into some kind of competition. It allows me to use the stopwatch and assign my students a time frame for each exercise, or give them specific time to complete a task. Okay, this is really useful thing. It can be used for brainstorming sessions, simple revision tasks, working in pairs or in groups. So let me show you the example of a communication task in which that you might find this feature very useful. Let's get here. Of course, I had it all set up and then I started recording and it's all gone. I mean, this is very typical. However, look at this. This is kind of an exam task that's usually on Cambridge exams. This one's for, I think, PTE. And in this exercise, students need to perform a paired discussion about different pictures. And they have some kind of time limit. I think it's about 3 minutes for each pair. So I want my students to practice talking about different ideas with their time pressure. So I'm just going to present to them on my Spark account the exercise, the useful language box, because I want them to use it. And then I can add the stopwatch set for 2 minutes, maybe 2 minutes and 30 seconds, so that they would have this slide limit. And then I click start and there it goes. You see, I can move it around, so I can place it in a position that wouldn't really cover anything important, and allow my students to work together. I don't have to control the time. I can concentrate on something else. This is built in, it's ready to go. all they have to do is start it. Yeah, and my students can easily see how much time they have left, and they can discuss different options. Also, you can, for example, give them very simple tasks, like, for example, the vocabulary task. It's not very, let's say, challenging. Okay, you know, these kind of tasks. So you can start a clock and tell them, okay, guys, you have 1 minute to complete, and I'm going to see how well you did. And then I ask them to do this, for example, exercise number 1, which is only about labeling the pictures, right? Not very challenging, as I said before. And see how much they were able to do within my time limit. You can also, I don't know, show them a picture of something. Let's say you can use, oh, I didn't want to work, I wanted to click here. You can show them a picture, let's say this one from the unit opener, but it can be any picture, and ask them to label as many things as they can within 2 minutes. So 2 minutes, start. Okay, the clock is running, and I can write different things here, like dragon, or horns, or maybe arm, water. I've done it before. Turtle, different things that they can name. Clouds. And again, you can divide your students into pairs or into teams. Set the time and then allow them to work on their own. Materials. They can use, for example, the textbooks to label different things, and then you can put all the answers together into your Spark account, so into your CPT, so that everyone can see what ideas were presented. Okay, so this might not only be the tool to work on it, it can also be the tool to present the results of a work. Okay, bear that in mind, because this is very useful tool. All right, getting back here. Time was of the essence in my 5th idea, but it's time to idea number 6. And this time it's about reading. I told you at the very beginning that reading and pictures, those are 2 of my very, very favorite things. I love the highlighter function in the CPT, because it's a great way to allow my students to write on their text, but still have everything visible. Wait, I have lost my text. It was here. Okay, sorry, I'm back. And in this type of exercise, I have decided to go for fast finishers option, or post-reading activity thing. So I wrote, using the text box, an instruction for my students to find 5 adjectives and color them green, 5 nouns and color them orange, and 5 verbs, and I want them to be in purple. And my students can, again, do it on their ebook version, or they can do it in their paper version of book, and then we can check it all together using CPT, putting all the ideas that my students had into one text, so we could have different things. Another thing that your students can do is that they can underline new words, okay, while they're reading. They can underline, the arguments for comprehension activities. So if they have, for example, ABCD questions, you can teach them to highlight the part that states what it says. So, for example, this is the text about yolks, and you can, I don't know, for example, ask your students to underline the part that describes the yolk, right? Oh, there it is. Yeah, with the navy blue color, the light blue color maybe. So you can use multiple things, different ideas to show your students. But another idea that might be quite useful especially if you like practicing pronunciation and reading aloud is important part of lessons. It's always important part of mine, because I really believe that reading aloud helps students practice their pronunciation, but also, it creates different brain connections. So it is worth practicing. However, lots of my students do not really want to do it. So I try to come up with different ideas on how I can make it easier for them. And you can divide them into pairs and ask them to read different parts. For example, Kasia can read this first part, Zosia the other one, out loud together in their pair, and the student who is not reading can use highlighter to mark the mistake. I'm going to use quotation mark because those are not really mistakes. However, words that, for example, were mispronounced. Okay, and she can write them. She can underline them with the highlighter. Also, if you want your students to read out loud, you can use highlighter to divide it into different parts. So let's say I have 5 students and I want my first students to read this part, my second student to read this part. Okay, I'm not really looking at the sentences, so if I just, if it doesn't make any sense, please do not judge me. Then I want my third student to read this part, and so on. There you go. You can have easily divide this text into different students, and that might be the opportunity to read it in a different way, because you don't always have to open the book, sit at the table and read the text. You can sit all together in front of a huge screen and read it together. For some students, that might be the opportunity to look, not to be so distracted as they might be when they only are asked to look into their own book. Yeah, because they have spam, they try to write something down, they're looking at their neighbors. But if you have this huge screen, it kind of forces you to look at it. Might be easier, and you have again gained different context for your reading activity. And highlighters might be just the thing that you need. Hope you like it. I really like highlighting stuff. This is one of my favorite Spark features, as I told you before. But let's move on to another reading game. This is an idea number 7 that you can use, but this time I'm going to use built audio. Okay, I'm not sure whether you know, but every Spark text, so every text that you find on your Spark account does have built-in audio. So you can choose whether you want to read the text as a teacher, whether you want your students to read the text, or maybe you want to use the audio that's been built into the text. This is what I'm going to do today. And as you can see, I have deleted a couple of words. I love doing such stuff because I think that it really develops critical thinking with among my students, and it asks them to think what is missing, to analyze the text with different contexts. So it's very beneficial. And I have simply used the marker option to wipe out a couple of those. And now, if I wanted to do it with paper copies, it would take me a lot of time, a lot of copying, and well, I don't want to do it. But with Spark, I just open my CPT, use the marker, and then if I don't need it, I can simply erase it. It's perfect, really. I see no weak spots here. I wanted to zoom it in, and now here we have audio selection. This is something you can move around, so you can place it in the right position so it wouldn't bother anyone. And now what I want my students to do is to listen and read at the same time. I want them to follow the text as they hear it, and on a separate sheet I want them to write the missing words. Okay, so that after we are done with those 7 words that I have covered here, we can reread this text together with one voice, all of us together at the same time. And we go, many animals can see, hear, smell, taste, and now I want my students to give me the word that's missing. And I can check it. I'm just using and touch, but they do it in a different way to humans. Imagine that you have to walk on your food to taste it. Well, A, and my students say butterfly, does. So this is how we check it. And look, we're doing 3 things with this text. First, we listen, students read it, but in their heads. And then we catch the vocabulary. It can be the key vocabulary if you want to. Or it can be some kind of revision of vocabulary. It can be one part of speech, however you want, whatever your goal is. And then we do another thing, we read it out loud, inserting the missing words. This is a nice multi-level activity that would really help you students to grasp the idea of the text, but also to practice the reading skills, reading and pronunciation skills. So it's always working quite well. I also like this activity in which I have the text. I'm going to wipe it, so I don't need those. But I'm using audio to ask my students to finish the sentences that the speaker started. So for example, I play the audio and the speaker says, many animals can see, hear, smell, and then I put a pause and I'm pointing at one of my students who needs to finish reading, and touch, but they do it in a different way to humans. I'm starting the audio again, right? We're checking, and then we go on. A nice way to make sure your students are concentrated, to make sure that your students see what's going on, and that they can read only a part of it. So it's a game, because they never know who's going to be next. And for some reason, my students really like it. So make sure you try it on together with yours. Okay, going back here. We had reading games as idea number 7, but let's go to idea number 8. And this is something that hopefully will change your perspective, okay? Because I want to tell you that you don't really need any external apps like Wordwall, Kahoot, Bluekids, learning apps, or any others, because you have assignments and OLP exercises, and you've got really lots of those. And you can use them in different ways, just the way you use your Wordwall games. But there's this one advantage that those games don't have, meaning that you already have everything done and it's already fitted to your needs and fitted to your to the vocabulary, to the grammar structure. So you don't really have to create them or look for them. Let me show you so that you wouldn't say that I'm talking bollocks. Hopefully I'm not. Here you can see some of the exercises for new close-up B1 level. Let's look at some vocabulary, for example. Go on, go on. Oh, look, this is a very nice exercise in which my students need to choose the right option. And now, if we're talking about similar activities from, let's say, Wordwall, they look very much alike. See? It's almost the same. And you can find such types of activities in your CPT. Because look, this is one, but I can also show you. So I'm going to take a sip. Something like that, where they have to listen and match. And also something like this. Yeah, whatever you have to add the missing words. Those can be great for gamification of your classes, because you can either do it together on a big screen, or you can assign these activities as assignments to your students, and they can do it on their phones like they do with Kahoot or Bluekids. So instead of just sending a link to your students, you can just ask them, okay, open up your Spark app and do this exercise, okay? You will see all the results in the gradebook So you can actually create a podium made by students who's done it the best, and it's all there already. Now, if you don't know how to set assignments or how to make sure that your students have access to all of those games, I will refer you back to the webinars performed by National Director Learning, where you can find everything that you need to know about working with Spark. Okay, so as I said at the beginning, if the technical part is the issue, just deal with it as soon as you can using the tools that we have. And now, if you have younger students and you'd like to play some games with them, of course, I have something for you as well. Because I've already showed you that there are multiple interesting things here, and you can use those. But in some of the books are also games. So they're not only activities that your students can do, but also games, and they're pretty cool. For example, look at this one. This is this hangman type of game where you get the definition, for example, a long part of your body, and you need to pick the right letter. And if you do it right, you get a cheer, and if you don't, you get a boo. I know from yesterday that it's back. Yeah. You students can play, they can buy different letters. You can also add different elements to it. So this is one of the games, one of the many that you can see. Again, this one was great for doing it together, but another one, the second one from this unit, is kind of designed to be played individually because you are ill and what you must do. So for example, yeah, I must go to the I maybe must drink a water. You see, I have to click the right ideas. So that I can, I must, perfect. And then I go to the next part. I've got a stomachache. What must I do? Drink hot water? No idea. Okay, yeah. I'm not very good at taking care of people who are ill. So this is an activity that would be very beneficial if students played in pairs or individually, because they can concentrate on the activity and do it with the right concentration. So bear that in mind that you have lots of those. Just make sure you browse for different games, different activities, and I promise that you will find something that will interest you and your students, and you will save up so much money on the external applications. Okay, you have everything that you need. Just trust me on that. Great, let's go back here. I've got two more ideas to show you. And this number 9 is supporting communication. You can use different Spark features to draw and write different things. And now I have shown you before what you can already write. So I've shown you what your input could be, but now I want to show you how you can support your students' input. So back here, let's say I have a beautiful picture with beautiful children that I would like my students to look at. And perhaps I could ask them to create some kind of dialogues. Look, I have drawn those speech bubbles. I know drawing is not my strong suit, but please. I'm sure you can do it so much better. And now I want my students to fill them in with different things that they can say. Yeah, and yesterday during the webinar I wrote, "We're so happy, how about you?" And these girls say, "Me too." And for example, the last one girl can say, "Oh, I am not. Oh, I am not. I have lost my temper." Sorry. Being creative during the webinar isn't really my strong suit in this case. I'm so concentrated on just running it and going through it. Okay. So you can ask your students, again, to work in pairs, to work together, to give you different ideas, maybe to draw some additional things, because look, I can change this temper into, for example, my keys, but then my students can draw them somewhere there. Like, okay, here they are, my keys, right? So we can add different things and this way encourage students to have a meaningful communication activities. Okay. This is something that you could easily do without Spark, but then you have to, I don't know, print out those speech bubbles or asking students to write on their books. Not everyone will be so happy to. Okay, but with Spark, you can do it, erase it, and do it all over again if you want to. It's just, it doesn't really get much better. Another idea would be to use this writing thing to give students different ideas. If you've been watching the previous webinar where I've been showing you the ways to give students instructions, you might remember this activity. It was quite complicated. I think we started with it because it involved first creating a cube. Sorry. Yes. First, it involved creating a cube and then creating quite elaborate dialogues. And I told you that the good idea would be to brainstorm some ideas first. So brainstorm different body parts, brainstorm different animal activities, and then allow your students to work with it. So you can use Spark to make sure that it's all in one place. Because of course you can do it on the whiteboard or blackboard. You can do it on a separate piece of paper. You can ask your students to take notes, but then it will all be very scattered. You can do it while looking at the actual exercise and leave the notes for students to see it. Like I've got different body parts here, different animal activities. Yeah, here above I have also created an exemplary dialogue to leave here for my students so that they would have another idea of what might be done. So don't be afraid to use this text tool to add different things to your book if you feel like it's needed. And another thing is that it will stay here in your CPT. So the next time you open it up, for example, next week when you want to revise, you will remember what ideas your students had, and you might also take advantage of it. Okay, good. Let's get back here and talk about the last task, the last idea. So idea number 10, it's about quick summaries. I'm a huge enthusiast of ending your classes quickly and efficiently, summarizing what we've done, asking my students to do this last small effort to make sure that this freshness effect stays with them. Freshness effect is about remembering the last thing that we've done. We always remember what we've done at the beginning and what's been at the end of something. So using this knowledge could be beneficial for your students, but also for you. So I hate long preparations, but in this case, I can just open my Spark account, my CPT, and use, for example, the vocabulary charts they've shown you before, and ask my students about how they feel about today's vocabulary. And I can do different things with it. Let me just set it up. Okay, I can, for example, mark all the labels so that so my students wouldn't see, and I can ask them, okay, guys, so which word do you remember? Create a sentence using it and cross it out before you leave. And each of my students pick one. For example, I don't know, a photographer, and my student says, this is a photographer. She is taking pictures of wonderful places. And then another person says, this is an actor. His job is to perform in the theater. Okay, whatever structure you need, whatever you've been practicing. You can also ask your students to mark which word was the most difficult for them and which was the easiest. So for example, they can use green highlighter to mark the dentist that was the easiest, or purple one to mark the one that was the most difficult to them. You can encourage them to write different numbers. For example, I don't know, this one was the easiest, but this one was the most difficult. This one was okay, and so on. Okay, or they can put a vote next to the word that they find the most difficult. Okay, they can do actually the voting on the words that they found difficult. Yeah, this is something that you can do. So what I want to show you with this activity is that you don't really need to have a complicated or difficult methods to finish classes. You just need to have efficient ones. So it can be simply the grid of vocabulary that you're going to use to enhance the memory, check what they've remembered, ask them about the easiest, the most difficult, the most challenging parts of the lesson, or encourage them to create something new with that, so that when they leave, they had a feeling like they summarized everything in their head, and you don't have to prepare anything for it because it's already here, ready for you to use. Okay, people, I hope, I sincerely hope that I have managed to convince you that using Spark in your classroom might be a great adventure, and it might be so much more than just video and audio placed in one software. Okay, it's so much more. You can use the tools to create new teaching experience, to create new exercise, to ease your students' path to learning English. If you have any questions, anything that you'd like to ask me about, please do not hesitate. As I said, I will leave the webinars in the English speaking version in the comments and in the description of this video. And I would just like to remind you that we have this great conference on April the 6th in Uniejów. It's held in Polish, but perhaps your Polish is good enough, or maybe you can take a translator with you, some interpreter who's going to help you understand everything that's going to be presented. If not, I will see you after the 6th on another webinar from Power Up Your Teaching Skills with NGL series. And as usual, I'll try to make sure that this is also made in English. If you liked today's ideas, please let me know. It's very difficult for me to talk to you guys in English, especially that I'm recording it, so I have no regular feedback from you. So please don't hesitate to leave the like or the comments so that I know that this is something that you can actually use and that you'd like to have more of. Thank you so much for listening, for watching. Enjoy your Spark experience, and I'll see you during another English speaking webinar. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.